All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are live. I am the Crypto Crow. I'm here with my friend and guest, Amir Ness, with Elevate Group and crowmining.com. What the hell's going on? I see you still like that white shirt I saw you in like 8 months ago. I'm not sure. Have you left the office, or have you just been putting out fires for 8 months?
No, it's the sign of genius, that we geniuses wear the same shirts,
The same
same
shirts.
shirts, same jeans. As long as I don't wear the same underwear, then it's okay.
Yeah, because I assume no, it's actually quite cold, I think, where you are. I'm not quite sure.
No, it's not cold. It's not cold.
No, it's not cold. Well, yeah, man. I mean, welcome, dude. I mean, it's been a while since we've talked. I mean, Jeremy and the guys have taken over a lot of stuff to help with crow mining, and they've been just doing a hell of a job. I mean, putting articles out about mining and just really trying to like kind of build a business with what we've been doing. And they started a lot of this stuff in the crappiest time. I mean, this has been a really rough road in Bitcoin mining now.
There's nothing good you can say about mining for the last 7 months now. I mean, as we spoke about a few minutes before we went live, the farm, has basically not been profitable for 7 months, and the owners of the farm have been they've paid the engineers out of their own pockets for the last 7 months. So we've just gotten to the point last month where, okay, mining is now profitable at least. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because difficulty keeps going up. And price finally has gone up, right? But I mean, for like 6 months, difficulty kept on going up. And it's like, at some point, you got to think it's gonna boom, but you just keep waiting for it, and you suffer. We've suffered basically. That's what it is.
Yeah. This is my. So I people in chat are asking. This is my when I finish a propel. The next morning, I make instant coffee with a creamer, and this is my coffee that I have when I wake up in the morning. So yeah, it is delicious. It's actually very, very good. It's my daily intake. Yeah, dude, it's been really tough because I hadn't even logged into my crow mining account for months now, and I finally logged in last night, and I'm like, oh shit, there's Bitcoin in there, like. I wasn't even expecting to see much, but it was like $2,500 worth of Bitcoin since the last time I logged in, which I don't remember when it was. It wasn't that long ago. I had just logged in out of curiosity. It might have been a month ago. I'm not sure how long it's been, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that there was actually Bitcoin in there to withdraw. So, yeah, man, I think that the question is, yeah, gotta have that caffeine for sure. I think the question is it profitable now? And here's the thing. My miners, like the miners that I just withdrew from, are I think I have like one S17 and then a bunch of the T3 miners, or the T2 or whatever. They're like 52 terahash miners, which haven't been doing squat for the last 7 months. Like you said, they haven't been doing anything. And like you said also, the difficulty has continued to increase. So
yeah, I mean, S9s are as far as I'm concerned, if you want my opinion, S9s are done. That's it. They're out. Like, yeah, it might, go get profitable in a boom and this and that, but they're done as far as I'm concerned. I don't think they're ever coming back.
And now, how long are the S9? Like, how old are the S9s? Like, when did those first come out?
Dude, it's probably been like almost 3-4 years now. 3 years at least.
Okay, so 3-4 years, and they just become fairly obsolete.
Yeah. So they had a great run. There's no doubt about it. They had a great run, but like last year, the new models started coming out, and you know, albeit you do have some problems with new models, like Bitmain has had issues with their, I think with their circuit boards or something. I mean, we're on the site, we just put on used miners that are available in Siberia. So there's like no lead time. It's like a week and you can get them running. And then we're also going to be putting on the new miners, which Jeremy and Adam, you know, asked to put those up. So we're going to put those up, and those are going to be, you know, directly from Bitmain. And you know, the thing about that is Bitmain's not shipping until I think it's February. And then you had the whole COVID thing, which was a real bitch. But um, but mining is profitable. You can, you know, you can get miners now, and the only silver lining is that you can get miners for relatively cheap when profitability is so low.
Yeah. Um, I'm looking to see. Okay, that's not it. Uh, buy miners. Oh, I have to sign up to buy miners, so I can't even see the options, I guess. Oh, there's some.
It's the S17 and the S17 Pro
Okay,
is
so
what
the
it is.
S17 70 terahash, those are pre-owned that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So those are pre-owned, those are $2,100. Now, what we need to figure out, and I don't have it, is people can go to the Bitcoin mining calculator, and and basically plug in 70 terahash using 3250 watts at like what is it, 0.05 or 0.005.
0.05, 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
Yeah, so 0.05 cents per kilowatt, and it'll basically tell you right now how profitable that mining rig would be, or that
Yeah.
ASIC miner would be. Now, and those are pre-owned ones, so the newest ones you're saying won't even be shipping until like February, and those are like 90 something terahash, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, they're 90 terahash, but they cost a lot more. So your ROI is, you know, going to be affected because of that.
Now, how this is the one thing that I've learned in the midst of all this. What so somebody buys a miner, let's say they buy the latest ASIC miner available, but they're even if they bought it today, they're not getting it for like 2 months, sometimes 3 months. I've seen sometimes 6 month lead time on miners. And
Yeah,
that's
that's why
not
we,
but that's not Crow Mining, that's not Elevate Group, that's the manufacturer.
yeah,
So
that, yeah,
basically what I've kind of gathered to some degree is that these manufacturers, you know, when they launch a new piece of mining hardware, they're replacing old stuff with the newest stuff, and you know they're getting a 3 to 6 month lead time on that equipment. I mean,
well,
they've got to be, because what other reason would there be for them to hold this stuff back the way they do?
you know, I think, to be honest with you, I think the problem is not that. I think the problem is they have production problems. They can't produce miners. See, they don't want to produce miners unless they know they've sold them, because they have to buy the chips and they have to pay for all this stuff. So it's money for them, right? So imagine Bitmain or Silicon or any of these guys, they're selling the miner for whatever, let's say 1700, so their cost is 800, right? Well, they don't want to go out and invest a bunch of money in chips so that they're end up sitting on inventory. And if mining is not profitable and people don't want to buy, then they you know, they have to sit on that money. So I'm guessing the reason why it's a long lead time is because they've stopped with like you know, big inventory, and now they're like, okay, you order it, then we'll buy the chips, then we'll build it, then we'll ship it. And and that's the big difference. I think they're not willing. It's not a crazy market like it used to be, where everybody is just throwing money into Bitcoin and mining and all of it, and just, you know, It's not like that anymore.
So I want to address this because I think
But I should say that doesn't mean that it's gone.
Mhm.
I mean, mining is not going anywhere. I just think it's for people who are much more level-headed now and are not looking to like, oh, I got to make a ton of money fast.
Yeah, I mean, one of the comments that I just see is from Brummy. He said, "We're never getting back the Bitcoin we paid for the miners we bought. Nobody else to blame but ourselves, but this shouldn't be pushed as a good investment." Now, I'm gonna say this. I agree with the guy based off of when those miners were originally bought. Because let's face it.
How can you not agree with him? It's not like he's sharing an opinion. It's a fact. It's a mathematical fact. The problem is there's two things. Nobody is pushing anything.
Right.
The bottom line is there are people who have made really good money in mining, you know what I mean? But whether they timed it because they knew what was going on or not, nobody knows, you know, like, okay, whatever. The problem is you can't time it. You don't know when there's going to be booms and when there's going to be busts. And yeah, it has been a ball breaker for the last year now.
It has been. And so I think the question is what factors actually play into the profitability of Bitcoin mining? I mean, obviously, the terahash of the equipment is important. It's vital. How much power that unit takes to run is vital. And I think one of the big things that many of us learned is where you are in the market cycle is vital, because it doesn't matter how powerful the mining rig is. If you're basically getting into it at the tail end of a market or during a bear market, you're basically just kind of begging for a non-profitable season with those new miners. And so now we're at basically the beginning of this bull market. And while it's still possible that we're going to have issues depending on what happens with Bitcoin's price and 40% pullbacks and, you know, just all of the nature of the chaos of everything that is crypto. But obviously, starting off now is a much better decision than starting during a bear market. I mean, which is obviously what we figured.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, the best time to start any investment is at the end of its bear market. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you want to buy it in the bear market, but, you know, not be there for long. You know, and it's like, okay, but when is that really over? You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Well, and I also kind of want to make the comment, he said something to the effect of like, we're never going to get back the Bitcoin we paid for the miners. I actually kind of disagree with that, because let's just say that the miners were to run, let's just say those miners were to run for the next year and a half. Based off of the profitability and what I basically pulled out of my mining account from what I assume, I have to double check, but I think it was about a month. Like, I know, so that would have been, let me do something real quick. I'm going to calculate something here.
So you probably had more than a month's worth in there, though.
You think so?
You probably weren't. I wasn't checking mine for months, several months. And I know there was no profit in it like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. You know, I mean, maybe it was like pennies.
I know that the last time I checked it before the last, though, there was like hardly anything in there. I mean, so, well, let's just say basically if my miners right now, based off of what I've already pulled out from mining during the bear market, I would break even at the, so I just pulled out $2,500 worth of Bitcoin. If I consistently did that every month for the next 16 months, that would be about $40,000 $40,000 worth of Bitcoin, which that was 0.13 Bitcoin. So multiply that, and then once Bitcoin peaks out, I'll still make a profit. Even though I got these in the bear market and we had 7 months of downtime, and it was a complete shit show with everything going on in the market and the profitability of mining and this and that, I will still make a profit even if I bought these things in the bear market.
Yeah, but you're counting that you're also getting commission.
Maybe.
Which is on, that doesn't have to do with your miners, you know what I mean? Because it's going into the same wallet.
Oh,
so you gotta keep that in mind.
See, I thought that was a separate calculation altogether.
No, it's coming in. Your wallet is one wallet. It's good. Your miners are coming into the same wallet as your commission.
Okay.
So it's not as high as you're seeing it in there.
Okay. That makes more sense then, because I'm thinking, like, regardless, I'm still going to turn a profit. I guess the overall question is, hold on, don't mean to be disrespectful, but I've worked out much. I bet even if the miners ran for the next few years, it would be nowhere near what I paid. I hope that's different for everyone else, though. Yeah, I don't know how much he's worked out, because I think that the profitability is there even on the miners that were bought during the bear market. You're talking 52 terahash miners. Well, maybe I'll have to just crunch those numbers and see, and then I'll do a follow-up video on it. I mean, because
you can't crunch these numbers because the reason why you can't crunch them is, I mean, you can, but the reason why you can't, like, for sure know is because, okay, what if you held the Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin goes up? Then in dollar terms, you can make back,
right,
your investment and a profit on your investment. So there's that way of looking at it. And then there's the other way of looking at it, which is in Bitcoin terms, are you going to make it back? Which is a much harder calculation to get your hurdle rate. So it's like,
if you spent Bitcoin initially to get the miners, then there is a chance, if you bought them during a bear market, that you're not going to make the Bitcoin back, but you would at least make the USD figure back. Which that's not even the point. So I get it. That I would be real. I get it. That's probably, and what I figured is too, when you're running the Bitcoin mining calculators, what they don't account for, because some people say, well, okay, this is the profitability today, and then I'm going to multiply that by 6 months, a year, but that doesn't count, because you have to take that and you have to increase the difficulty. Everybody talks about the Bitcoin halving, but what I've learned in this is it seems to be there's a difficulty halving almost every 6 months, because if you look at the hash rate and the difficulty level, the difficulty doubles almost every 6 months in mining.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's been crazy, because despite the price, difficulty keeps going up, as if like prices, like shooting up.
Mm-hmm. So even if the price is going down, the difficulty still increases, because it's based off of the number of miners that are being added to the overall pool across the world, basically. So that's something to account for. That's something to consider. Now, I guess the question is, how profitable can the latest miners be? If you're talking like a 90 terahash mining ASIC, how profitable will that be? If somebody bought, if I got 10 of these like 90 whatever terahash miners, how profitable would that be for me over the next year? And let's say we're in a bull market, we peak out at the end of 2021.
You see, you still don't know, because it's like, it depends on difficulty and the price of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin breaks 20K, then I think we're going to get a big run if it breaks 20K. If that happens, mining could get really, really profitable, especially for people who have their miners running. I mean, that's the one big advantage, is when you have your miners running and that bull market starts, you're making 20-30% a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, again, it's like you don't know. So there's no, I always say, use a calculator and you can look at your profitability, but know that your profitability today has no correlation to what it'll be tomorrow or 1 week from now or 1 month from now.
All right, so I mean, I think we've done a pretty decent job at explaining like there is risk associated with Bitcoin mining. I mean, there's risk associated with pretty much every stinking thing you do in crypto. I mean, it just, you could buy the best project of today and it can turn out to be a complete wash or garbage or something tomorrow. At least with mining, there's some consistency in one direction or the other. It's just a matter of how long that consistency is going to last, for better or worse. So let's explain a little bit about how this mining process actually works. I mean, ultimately, it's pretty simple. You buy your miners. They're set up in the mining farm, and those mining rigs are you're attached with your miners through serial numbers and like basically an identification system. And then as your miners are running, the mining yield is sent directly to your mining rig or your Bitcoin mining wallet that you can withdraw anytime. So it's pretty simple. I mean, it's pretty passive and it's pretty exciting when things are going well. It's not so exciting when Bitcoin's down and everything's kind of a shit show. So it is what it is, but it is nice to log in and find, some decent mining profit sitting in there.
We set up the best automated mining system I think that's out there. I mean, I don't know, because I haven't tried, but like I know Genesis Mining, I know how they work. It's, you're paying a 10x premium to mine, it's crazy. Like we went from fully manual to fully automated. The money goes into your wallet every day, like every weekday. And, and you can see your hash rate, you can see your miners, all that kind of stuff. We did a really good job. I have to give, I tip my hat off to the guys at the farm. We, kept expenses low, like all of that stuff was done. It's the thing that sucks is are the elements that we don't have any control over.
Right.
And that's at least you can say that that's where you want to be. You want to do everything that you can do that's in your control, right? And that's all you can do. So we've done that.
And I want to point out too, man, that through the difficulties of this bear market, through the non-profitability over the last 7-8 months, you and the team has never disappeared. Like you guys, no, I mean seriously, you laugh, but that's real shit. Like you guys have not gone anywhere. You guys have always stayed available. You guys never just cowered in some corner and said, "Oh God, please leave us alone." Because a lot of lesser people and lesser teams and lesser companies would have just gone silent or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah, we didn't do that. I did stop answering, a multitude of DMs on Telegram that, I cannot keep up with. And I did get frustrated. And I'll tell you what I got frustrated about and what I personally decided I will not engage in anymore is, these insinuating questions, questions that are loaded with like the smell of something is wrong and why is it like this and why is it like that and why don't you do this and why, it's like no, I'm not going to engage in that either.
I get exactly what you're saying. I understand what your point is. Yeah.
So it's like
it's when things are down and people aren't happy, and then they just start assuming that you're up to no good. It's somehow your fault, and I get it. I hear it all the time too.
It's also like the guys at the farm, in Siberia. You're talking about a family business. They're good people. They see these YouTubes, they want to stay on top of what's going on. And it's like, I'm not like, I don't have an issue trusting them. You know, they have, I'm also part of this whole thing economically, you know what I mean? The BTC is coming from the farm. My BTC is also coming from the farm. I'm not, you know, sending them emails saying, can you recalculate this and what's this and that? I'm not doing that. So it's just, I did it for in the beginning because I understood the circumstances and wanted to address it for everyone. But I really did that. And I did that multiple times. And then I said, no, that's it. You know, we're not going anywhere. It's a shit market. That's just the reality of the situation. But it's gotten better. And, you know, we could be out of it and we could be at the beginning of a bull run. And that would be very nice.
Yeah, I keep seeing people in chat. They're trying to work out calculations, right? Give it up. Just give it up, because we've done a million calculations. I've done calculations through the bear market. I've done calculations when I first got into this. It all makes sense one way or the other. And then at some point, something happens. The market changes in a way that makes it all moot. And in it for better or worse, I'm telling you. Because the reality is that all the calculations I'm seeing are based off of today's dollar amount. How does that change when Bitcoin's 35 grand?
That's all you're ever going to get. That's all you're ever going to get.
And the thing of it is you have to calculate the mining yield against the difficulty increase, against the increase in price of Bitcoin over a period of time, which is virtually impossible to do because it goes up and down and fluctuates. There's a lot of volatility, not just in Bitcoin's price, but in its difficulty rate. So while we all, yeah, and I get it. I'm not calling you out of saying you're complaining. I see you in chat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when we first started in all of this, we sat down, made all kinds of calculations on what to expect based off of the cost of the mining rigs and this and that and another thing. We did all of that. And then the bear market really sunk Bitcoin, and the difficulty continued to go up while Bitcoin's price went down. Everybody started freaking out, thinking that somehow Amir controls the market and, you know, everything's Amir's fault. And it's just, the fact of the matter is that there are companies putting billions of dollars into ASIC mining rigs, and they're paying more for power than we are. There's a reason why these giant mining conglomerates are doing what they're doing. Do they know something we don't? What is the draw for so many people putting 7 figures, 8 figures into Bitcoin ASICs mining equipment if it's never profitable? Because it is profitable. It's just a matter of timing things, I think, is the biggest part of it.
Yeah, and their staying power is like they're basically like, I guess, you know, they're coming from a place of like, we're going to hold our Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be, you know, 1 million one day or 100,000 one day, and we're not mining so that we can sell Bitcoin. You know, we're mining because we're going to generate it and just, you know, accumulate it. I guess, you know, there are different, just like there are different ways of calculating it, and you know, it's what you calculate today is going to give you a different answer than what you calculate tomorrow. People are getting into different investments for different reasons. It's true. There are people spending millions of dollars on mining equipment and going into mining big time.
Is there something that have to do with the tax write-off of the cost of the equipment that makes it more appealing than just buying Bitcoin outright? Listen, so I guess full disclosure, you know, this is not tax advice, right? I'm just asking a question. I don't know.
But no, because there is a very obvious thing, and people do it, and you depreciate the equipment. It's a computer. You depreciate the equipment cost over 3 years as opposed to like 10 years, right? And so you recoup the cost of the equipment, and it's a write-off. So yeah, you can do that. I mean, again, ask your tax advisor.
Well, because
whatever.
there's an initial expense of buying the equipment as a business expense, then the depreciation of that equipment over time against your yield. And so
not only against your yield, you can do it against your income.
Right. Well, yeah.
Against any income, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not just the against any business income. So then you end up saving all of that money, you recoup it.
So, and I know that technically, one discussion that I had with my accountant was basically like, what do I do? Because like after the peak of the market, and then I cashed out, and I got a tax bill that made me cry, and I sold my car and like took out a home equity line like just to cover it because I was not expecting it at all. And it like kind of flipped my world upside down for a minute. I'm like, how do we prevent this from happening again? And he was like, well, we could do this, and that. And one of the things he said was, you need to reinvest your money. Instead of cashing out and buying things to live, when you cash out, you take on business expenses, grow your business, grow this, grow that. And then those business expenses are ultimately, those go against your profit. And so, just in this video, it's making more sense to me why some of these companies are spending so much money on mining equipment and launching these mining farms, because it could be potentially, depending on where they're at, it's all different. I mean, you've got your federal, and then state is going to be dependent upon what state you're in and what state you're filed in and all that. But it's making a lot more sense. It's not just about, oh, well, if I spend $1 million on ASICs mining rigs, I'm going to make $2 million in Bitcoin. There's so much more to that. So for somebody who is like, well, if I might buy like 3 ASICs mining rigs and see how much profit I make, that could benefit you. It may not. It really is a calculation that you might want to sit down, talk to your accountant about, and really crunch the numbers. And I would suggest anybody that's considering getting into ASICs mining, crunch the numbers and try to establish a worst case scenario first. Don't try and calculate something that's going to paint a picture that makes it sound like, oh, if Bitcoin goes to $110,000 and the mining equipment costs me, I'm going to make so much money. I would calculate worst case scenario first, sit on that, and then go from there, and find out where you're comfortable and where your risk aversity is.
So let's see. Hopefully, we'll get some good movement upwards, and then I'll give Jeremy and Adam will have updates, and I'll obviously update as well. But for now, the announcement really is that, okay, mining is profitable. We've got the used miners, and we'll get new miners on the site for people who do want to get involved. And if you have any other questions, go get into the Pro Mining room and ask.
Yeah, I just saw a comment. Shit, just reminded me the returns are taxable. Hope I can offset the cost against returns. I'm in the UK. I'm going to assume, especially if you're in the US, I know you can, pretty positive, talk to your tax accountant. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that any yield you've received up to this point is you haven't profited over the cost of the machines yet. I mean, not during the bear market. So I'm sure you're fine. You're not. I don't think there's anything that you're going to have taxable. But talk to your tax accountant just to make sure, because I don't know. You could be in a really whacked out area somewhere in the world. I have no clue. I'll always talk to your somebody who specializes in the tax code where you live. Okay. Let's see here. Jeremy had a couple things. What are the risks? Pretty sure we covered that ad nauseum at this point. Benefits over mining versus buying. I think we kind of covered that too. I mean, ultimately, you can buy. The thing of it is there's going to be a point where, let's just say Bitcoin reaches $35,000. At that point, is it more profitable to buy a mining rig using profits from a $35,000 Bitcoin you bought at $4,000 or $5,000 or even $10,000 or $20,000? And then how much longer do you think we have in the bull market? That's another calculation in all of this. Yeah. It's when you're using your Bitcoin to make those purchases. If it's if it's in a bear market where Bitcoin's already come down a significant sum, like let's take this for example. Let's say, Bitcoin peaked out at 20 grand and I had 10 Bitcoin and I cashed out all 10 of those Bitcoin at $20,000 and bought mining rigs at that point. how profitable would I be after this period of time? Would I have made all that back yet? I don't know. I'd have to calculate it. But if I guess what I'm saying is that's a factor. Like, it's when you use Bitcoin to purchase mining rigs against the potential yield over a period of a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, and so on. There's just so much, and that's why it's really relevant to the individual person and their circumstances. When is it profitable? These companies that are spending $1 million, $10 million, $100 million on building these mining farms in different parts of the world, you know, they're doing it in accordance to what's going to benefit them the most, and it's definitely possible. It's just nothing is guaranteed. Yeah, I think getting in at in the middle of a bear market, kind of waiting for everything to start picking up and get better, isn't necessarily the best time to get in. Luckily, we're out of that now. Is there a minimum number of miners that you can get?
There's one. I mean, one is that's the minimum.
Okay. One is the minimum. So listen, guys, if you guys have any other questions, just make sure you join the Crow Mining Telegram group. It's linked right on crowmining.com. You can't miss it. I know Amir's got to head out. He's got business to attend to. So yeah, I think he's got to go change his damn shirt. That's what I think he's got to do. So, you know, thanks guys for joining me. Hopefully this is at least very transparent and helpful. Join the Crow Mining Telegram group and ask away all of your questions, and we'll see you there.